On r/IDontWorkHereLady today, a bakery meltdown, a lobby full of angry guests, and a hardware shopper who picked the wrong stranger. Let's begin.
I was attacked for not being a bakery worker. Hello there, people. Strap in, because this is going to be a heck of a ride. I work for a very popular cranberry airline here in Germany. I do not work at the airport, but sometimes I have to check the planes and make sure the cabin crew is rested and that they have their legs all fulfilled. I also have to write reports. My uniform is dark red. I wear dark red slacks, dark high heel pumps, a white button down, and a dark red blazer. There is no way in heck you could mistake me for something else than an airline employee. Cue Easter. Easter was madness because the price of the flights had dropped significantly. Everyone was flying. Children who definitely were not on spring break yet were traveling. It was very stressful. I spent most of the time at our base airport writing flight reports. I hate writing flight reports, and I thought a coffee would help me get through this task more easily. So I got up, left the office, and went to the bakery in the security area of the terminal. This bakery makes the best latte around. Also, this bakery sports a nice white uniform, which consists of a white polo shirt with the logo of the bakery. I was just about to order my extra big latte when this woman stepped in front of me. She basically started yelling, "Hi, can I get?" and then rattled down her order. The bakery employee just looked at her and mentioned that I was first and in the middle of ordering something, and that he would deal with me first before he could accept her order. This lady was an older, small woman with very white and long hair. She looked like a grandma, but she destroyed this image by basically screaming at me and the employee. She said, "She is working here. She can get her stuff later. I have a flight to catch." I told the bakery employee that it was fine, that I could wait, and I asked the little lady what kind of flight she was taking in order to help her, call the gate or something. It unfortunately took it as an insult. She yelled, "You don't need to know which flight I am taking. It is not your business. You should better clean the display. Look how dirty it is." She then smeared the glass of the display with her little hands. Apparently, she thought I worked at the bakery. I tried to explain multiple times that I was an airline worker and that the flight she was taking would likely be one of the planes I was managing, because 75% of the flights at this airport were operated by us. She continued screaming, and I stopped talking to her since it did not make any sense to waste more time on her. For some reason, she did not like my silence. She kept talking and berating me, telling me how bad I was at my job, and I started thinking about following her to the gate to find out where she was flying to, because this woman clearly was not stable enough to fly. Then she suddenly hit me with her luggage. To clarify, I was not prepared to get hit at all. Also, her luggage was heavy, and it was one of those old suitcases that were made out of metal. Security got called by the bakery employee, and they gave me the latte for free. This woman was actually a standby passenger on an overbooked flight, so she was definitely going to miss it. It was not a flight with the airline I work for, but the cabin crew heard of her behavior and banned her from this flight anyway. After this ordeal, I got back to the office to complete my flight records, and I sighed because now I needed to write up an incident report for this crazy woman who had just assaulted me. I just drank my coffee and got it over with. My foot has a bruise as big as a plate, by the way.
Wow. Imagine minding your business, craving a latte, and suddenly you're promoted to bakery staff against your will. Some people don't even look at uniforms. They just decide who you are on sight. And that suitcase hit? If someone swung a metal dinosaur of a suitcase at me, I'd need a whole HR department just to calm down. You even tried helping her at first, offering to call her gate, and she treated it like a personal insult. Some folks wake up ready to argue with oxygen. All right, speaking of people who create their own chaos, the next story shows what happens when one hotel uniform turns you into everyone's emotional punching bag. This one gets messy.
Found out just how badly hotel workers are treated. Recently, I was staying at a very upscale hotel. I had already been traveling for a bit, so I sent my suitcase of clothes to their same-day laundry service. While the clothes were with the service, there was a storm in the area that blacked out the power at the hotel. I only had the clothes on my back, so the hotel kindly gave me a uniform they had on hand to wear until things got sorted. I was hanging out in the lobby with a friend, having a drink, and waiting for the power to come back on. Wearing the uniform, obviously people assumed I worked there. In just the few hours that I wore it until the power situation was fixed and I got my clothes returned, I had the following things happen. A woman banged on the side of my rental car while I was sitting in it, using both her fists, demanding that I explain why the power was out. An older couple physically blocked my path after I explained that I did not work there and could not help them. I'm not sure if they didn't understand me or didn't believe me, but they just kept barking orders. A guy walked up to me while I was on my phone and yelled at me for being on my phone. I explained that I did not work there, but he continued yelling. I made small talk with a woman for a bit. Her wife arrived and yelled at me not to bother her family. Almost everyone I told that I did not work there ignored me and carried on anyway. I already did not envy the job of high-end hotel employees, but now I am especially empathetic.
Wearing one hotel uniform for a few hours and suddenly you're everyone's crisis manager? Yeah, that tracks. It's wild how people don't even pause to ask. They just bark orders like you spawned from the break room. Getting yelled at in the car, blocked in the hallway, lectured for being on your phone. All while you literally keep saying you don't work there. Some guests treat staff like they're part of the furniture. Always available, never human. Honestly, you got a front row seat to how exhausting hospitality can be. Respect to every hotel worker out there. They deal with a level of chaos I wouldn't survive. And speaking of chaos, the next story features a guy who mistakes a random shopper for hardware store staff and then loses his mind when he hears, "We don't serve your kind here." You're gonna love how that plays out.
We don't serve your kind here. Get out. It was laundry day, and as fortune had it, I was wearing a dark t-shirt, black jeans, and dark shoes. I made the mistake of going out dressed this way to a big box hardware and building supply store that is big on orange aprons. I just wanted to buy a bag of masonry lime. It comes in 50-pound bags, which I can carry on my shoulder to the checkout and my car, because I do not like carts, but it is not comfortable for long periods. An older man wearing a MAGA hat came up to me and started demanding that I load up his cart, not a flatbed, with bags of concrete mix. He said, "Get me 3 bags of this mix." If he had been more polite, I might have also been more polite, but instead I said no and started to walk away. He grabbed my arm, the one on the side with the 50-pound bag, and started yelling, "It's your job to help me." Now, I am a Gen Xer, going gray, am not a small guy, and have resting done with this face. I am one of the last people someone should think is somehow their hardware store concierge. I told him, "We don't serve your kind here. Get out." I waited a few seconds while he registered this, and then he started to say something before I cut him off by saying, "I am going up front to report you." He followed me without touching me again, all the while saying things like, "What do you mean my kind?" and "You can't refuse me service," and "Who are you to talk to me that way?" When we got up front, I walked to a register and started checking out. You might think this would tip him off, but no such luck there. He fast walked to the first orange apron-wearing person he saw and tried interrupting her discussion with another customer. I did not pay attention to the details, but I checked out and walked away before he sorted it out. Thank heavens for self-checkout.
There's something hilarious about wearing a plain dark shirt and suddenly becoming the official concrete bag lifter for a stranger. The confidence this man had, grabbing your arm while you're carrying 50 pounds, that bag had more manners than he did. And honestly, I love how fast you shut it down. Some people really expect the world to stop spinning just because they want help right now. And the funniest part? He followed you all the way to the front without realizing you were literally checking out your own stuff. All right, now I'm curious. Have you ever been mistaken for an employee? And how wild did it get? Tell me in the comments. That's it for today's wild ride through r/IDontWorkHereLady, where uniforms mean nothing and confidence is delusion. If that gave you secondhand embarrassment or a good laugh, give it a big thumbs up. Drop your favorite "I don't work here" moment in the comments. I want to hear your stories too. And if you're not subscribed yet, you know what to do. Hit that button, ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully not getting yelled at in a Target parking lot. Bye.